Hey everybody, welcome back to Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Blades of God, and today we're bringing you the next installment in our Gears 5 Master Escape randomizer series. This is going to be a alternate guide series to the first set of guides we did, and we're going to randomize the map and the classes that we each get. The only rule is that we are not going to run duplicate maps until we've gotten through all of the alternative strategies for each map, and we are not allowed to run any of the classes that we ran in our primary guides. So you can see here we're just going through, we're spinning up, each one of us is going to have a different class, and once we have this figured out we are going to jump right into the gameplay itself. The reason that we're doing this is that we realized that not everybody is going to have all of their classes leveled up to where they're going to be particularly effective in the master or on the master difficulty, so we wanted to give a second option or a second set of classes that you could bring in if you and your friends don't have the required classes up to the right level. So as you can see, we're going to be running the Hive, Pyro's running Mechanic, Beardsley is running the Robotics Expert, and I am going to be running the Veteran class. These classes aren't that bad. The Veteran's Ultimate Living Legend is very useful. Robotics Expert gets additional bleed damage when the DR1 Ultimate is ready to go. Plus the DR1 Ultimate is very effective for being a distraction, and then the Mechanic's Ultimate is also very effective in certain situations. Plus the Mechanic gets additional damage with DB weapons. So let's take a look at the Hive modifiers for the Hive. You can see we accidentally ran the past Hive, but the Hive and the past Hive are literally the exact same, so if you have the option, it's going to bring you to the same map. It's not a big deal. But yes, the modifiers for the Hive. We have more health, more lethal, regen penalty, so our health regenerates 50% slower, faster venom, ammo starvation, so less ammo is given in pickups, regeneration, so enemies will regenerate health back to 100%, and of course Iron Man, which means that if we die, there are no rescue pods. You are done until you get to the safe room, where you can be revived in the safe room, but up until then there's no coming back. Something else to take note of is that this isn't as serious or straightforward as a guide as our original guides were. We had a little bit more fun in the gameplay while we were capturing this footage, so if it's not quite as crisp or clean as the original guides are, that's because we were more just messing around, having a good time. But we're going to get us through this no matter what. So as you come out of the room, you're going to come up to, usually there's a bunch of rejects here, and then you have some Imagos that are a little further out, but the Imagos spawned in pretty early, or pretty close to us on this run. So not a really big deal, because that triple melee execution works very well on them. And if you're not familiar with the triple melee execution, what that is that you press B if you're using a standard controller setup to melee, press B a second time and that'll stun the enemy, and then press and hold B the third time and that will execute the enemy. As an added bonus, the Veteran takes no damage while performing execution, so you're basically invincible while you're performing executions like this one. So you can see here I doubled back because Pyro had gotten down by the hunters that came up behind us, and you can see that I'm grabbing a Marxa and just going to try to load up on a little bit of this Marxa ammo, and that's because very shortly here we are actually going to be using Living Legend to get through a rather sticky part of the map. I think Pyro and Beardsley are going to each grab Enforcers as well, but you can see here Beardsley went down to this bottom section. There was nothing really down here other than some rejects. I decided to execute them anyway, just because why not? They don't deserve to live. Plus the execution helps to reload or to charge my Living Legend Ultimate. So I can see here that my allies Pyro and Beardsley had already started to move up, so I left that last reject. He's actually going to catch up to us later. But what we're going to do is, after we clean out that first group of enemies, we're going to come over here to the right, because there is an ammo room here, and you're going to want to hit that ammo room in order to load up on what we can for supplies. Again, a couple of Imagos and Hunters here, not a big deal. Again, use that triple melee execution. Use your pistols if you have to, but you want to try to conserve any of the larger weapons, your primary weapons, for the battle that's going to be coming up. So try your best not to use those if you can. So here's the safe room, or the ammo room, sorry, not a safe room, the ammo room that I was talking about, and you can see there's a few ammo packs in here. I'm going to grab one that gives me 13 shots for my Marxa, Also a flashbang in here, so make sure somebody grabs that. You see I just grabbed it. And just make sure you don't leave anything behind. Everybody should grab ammo and try to have as much ammo on hand as they can. Pyro and Beardsley both decided that they didn't want it, so I finally had to just tell Beardsley to go grab it. And here we go. You can see the Deadly Venom is already catching up to us. And again, we're not trying to set a really breakneck pace here, but do be aware that with Faster Venom on in this map and the way that the enemies are laid out, you do have to keep a fairly good pace so you don't get caught up in that Venom. Here are a few more rejects down this little reject hallway. Nothing too difficult, even if they get startled, awakened, whatever. You can just run around them like Beardsley did to get the execution and pull the battery pack out. Or if they're keying on one of your teammates, you can run up behind them and get the battery pack pulled. So right here is where I was talking about where we're going to use Living Legend. We have my ally stack up on me here, and I activate it, and Living Legend causes all shots to become automatic headshots. So especially while using the Marxa that has very good precision damage, you can see we're cleaning up these enemies really quickly, just like that, and now we're going to move through. That spot can be really tricky because trying to get across that little bridge without having any cover is very difficult. And as an added bonus, you can see Living Legend lasts a very long time. And I'm going to grab a long shot here, swap it out for the Marxa, so I'm going to run Hammer Burst long shot right now. And once we get past that area, we're going to hit a plethora of ammo rooms. There's 3 ammo rooms here, 1 on the right and 2 on the left, and there's juvies guarding these ammo rooms. And they're always going to be in slightly different places, but they're always going to show up when you try to access these rooms. There's also shot grenades, frag grenades, a lot of good stuff in here, so make sure that you hit these rooms and everybody gets some weapons and some grenades on them. And then I believe there's a boom shot in one of the rooms, and there's an ammo pouch for explosives in here, so they can really load up that boom shot and make good use of that in the next room, as the next room is also a bit of a sticking point, but again, we have a mechanic that has his turret with shredder rounds, and then we're going to have Beardsley with the DR1 that we could use. I believe at this point the DR1 was ready to go. So you see I'm just trying to hit my active. I only have a couple of shots here, so it's not a lot. There's going to be a Scion in this room that starts in the very, very back, and I'm going to try to focus on him. But he doesn't come out right away. Normally you can already see him, and you can see I'm sort of biding my time, and just as I took that first shot, the Scion came around the corner. It is an Ice Scion. I think it's always an Ice Scion, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But most of the times that we've run this map, just for fun or for, you know, capturing video content, I think it's always been an Ice Scion. So maybe it can be something different, but in our experiences, it's always been an Ice Scion. So the trick with them, just keep them back. That cryo cannon freezes you very quickly unless you're running the gunner class with the freeze resist. But taking him out at a distance, since he has limited range on his weapon, is the key to handling them quickly. So you can see we clean these guys up pretty quickly. The enemies have all been dispatched except for that one sniper. So we're going to kind of go around this area, scout out as much ammo as we can from the fallen enemies. Do not go through that arched doorway right ahead of me that you see on screen now. If you cross that threshold, it will actually spawn in another wave of enemies that come up from behind. So make sure that you communicate with your allies and you make sure that everybody is gathered and scouted out as much ammunition as they can. And then once you're ready, you feel confident that you've gotten everything you can get out of this area, go ahead and advance through the doorway, and the safe room is just beyond that door, so you're almost to the halfway point already. And again, you can see that Deadly Venom is right behind us already, so it's not like you have a lot of time to spare. You do have to keep a good pace, like I said, but again, we weren't trying super hard to keep a good pace. We were just kind of having fun and messing around while we did this, so that's why the Venom got a little closer than it probably should have. But you can see here we made it into the safe room, and we're going to close the door, and just like that, we are halfway through the Hive. And we're going to actually go ahead and skip the safe room, as there's nothing super useful in there. There's a little bit of ammo, but nothing that is going to be too game-changing. And then as you come up that ramp to this area here, you're either going to get one of 2 spawns. You're going to get the Juvie and Sire spawn, or you're going to get a Scion and Grenadier spawn. Honestly, the Sire and Juvie spawn is probably the more difficult of the 2, just because of the sheer number of enemies that are thrown at you and the fact that you're trying to conserve ammunition. The Scion and Grenadier spawn is probably the more beneficial of the 2 spawns to get, just because you end up with, I think it's usually a Mulcher Scion and shotguns from the Grenadiers. So you definitely get a lot more out of that spawn or that RNG run than the Juvie and Sire run, because all that does is just soak up any of the ammo or grenades that you're going to have to use to get through there. We do like using a shock grenade because the shocks seem to do quite a bit of damage to the Juvies, even on master difficulty, and it kind of softens them up so they're easier to get through. So here we go. You see I fell all the way back to the safe room and grabbed the flash grenade that was left after using my shock grenade. And we're going to come up this ramp, and we are going to wait because apparently Beardsley got distracted and forgot what he was doing. So here comes Beardsley, and we're going to wait for him to catch up. Then we're going to advance through this room, and we are actually going to go straight ahead and take a right. And this is the same path that we took in the first guide that we did, the primary guide that we did, but we found that this room is just the easier of the two rooms to deal with, so we're going to stick to the right hand wall. You can see I just got an execution there on a drone, picked up a little more hammer burst ammo. We're going to come up to the right. We're going to have some snipers to deal with, elite snipers, so be careful because they can actually tank your melee and will break your triple melee execution, so do be aware of that you may only be able to get 2 shots in before they hit you and down you with a single punch. There are, like I said, drones and snipers in this room. The snipers have M-bars instead of long shots, which isn't great, but it's easier to deal with because of the longer charge-up time on the M-bar. And something else to be aware of is that after you take out most of these enemies, or all of these enemies, you're actually going to end up with a boss enemy coming in. In our original guide, we had a flock come through. This time we get the Warden. The Warden seems to be a lot more common and is probably the easier of the two enemies to deal with. And you can either do one of two things. You can absolutely fight him like a standard Warden if you want to, but what we like to do is actually run ahead and lure him into one of the ammo rooms that are up ahead, and then trap him in that ammo room, basically neutralize him without having to expend a bunch of ammunition that we're going to need for the very end of the map. So you can see there the Warden is. He actually downed Beardsley, so I run over, get Beardsley back on his feet. You can see that he is now chasing us, and we are just running, we're advancing down the map. You're going to want to come this way, follow the mini-map and the path that we're taking, and drop off this ledge, and then hug the right wall, because sometimes there's some drones or grenadiers on the left that you can actually aggro if you don't stay too tight to that wall. Unfortunately, we both, Pyro and I, got downed by that leap attack, or that leaping smash attack, but Beardsley was pretty quick to revive us and get the door closed, so we're going to go ahead and raid this ammo room for all the ammo and grenades that it has. I'm going to set a flash grenade right there, and what we're going to do is we're going to open that door and then run back here so that the Warden has to literally walk over the top of the flash grenade, get stunned, and then we're going to run out the door and we're going to lock him in here. So there we go, the flash grenade just detonated, and 1, 2, 3, we're all out. Close the door, and now that Warden is neutralized without taking up a bunch of our ammunition and explosives, because like I said, we're definitely going to need that on the next part of the map. So we're hitting the other ammo room. Beardsley's going to be able to pick up a explosive crate for his boom shot. You can see I've got 6 shots on my long shot, and that's pretty good because we have 2 Scions that we're going to want to deal with. Again, we're all going to stack up on this cover in this window. I'll activate Living Legend, and then we're going to just go to work taking out as many enemies as we can. You can see right there, 3 shots each takes down the Scion, so those 2 Scions are off the board, and here we go. We are just laying into these guys with everything we got. Unfortunately, I'm out of long shot ammo, but if you could stack up, or gather up a little bit more long shot before you get to this part, the long shot with the Living Legend ultimate is extremely useful when dealing with large groups of enemies like this. So there we go, the Living Legend is now used up. We still have quite a few enemies over there to the left, and I'm going to close that window just to buy us a little bit more safety. We did have a Grenadier sneak up all the way around the right, and we're going to kind of take him out, and thankfully the combination of the Venom and my bullets did drop him before he threw that grenade. And now we're going to move up here to the right. You don't have a lot of time. Again, that Venom is pushing us very quickly, and we're actually going to make a run for the door right now because the door has already started to close. So we have to really just sprint for it. I got stuck on that wall, unfortunately, but Beardsley deployed his DR1 and it acted as a wonderful distraction, so Beardsley was able to come back and get me on my feet. Pyro's going to pop his turret right there and just start shooting through that door, even though The DR1 did a great job of taking out a bunch of the enemies, and then Beardsley and I are going to toss our grenades through there, the shock grenades, just to slow down anything that may try to get out. And that's it, guys. That's our alternative guide and alternative class setup on how to get through the Hive on Master difficulty. Really do hope that you found this helpful. Hope you take care of yourselves, and until next time, bye-bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Blades of God, and until next time, have a great day everyone.